Good afternoon and welcome to the City Club of Cleveland. My name is Paul Harris and I am president of the City Club's Board of Directors. I am pleased to introduce today's speaker, Philip G. Satre. Mr. Satre has been a leader for several decades on responsible gambling and will address that subject today at a time when gambling and attendance issues are being discussed and debated in Cleveland, other areas of Ohio, and across the country. When you look at Mr. Satre's background, it is easy to appreciate how he's become a leader in his field. He graduated from Stanford University with a degree in BA in psychology, and then he earned a law degree from the University of California, Davis, and later attended the Senior Executive Development Program at MIT Sloan School of Management. After a stint in private practice, Mr. Satre in 1980 began a several-decade association with Harrah's Entertainment, serving in a variety of management positions, including beginning vice president and general counsel and secretary. And this was at a time when Harrah's had 2 Nevada casinos and a casino under development in Atlantic City. So I'm not sure whether that meant that you had an easy job, but I rather doubt that you did. In 1984, he became president and chief executive officer of Harrah's Gaming Division, and in 1988, he was appointed to Harrah's Board of Directors. In 1994, Mr. Satre became CEO of Harrah's, and in 1997 was elected chairman of Harrah's Board of Directors. In 2003, he ended his lengthy managerial stint, and in January 2005, he retired from Harrah's board. Mr. Satre has earned significant recognition during his career, including being selected by the Wall Street Journal in 1995 as the best chief executive officer in the casino and hotel industries, by Casino Journal in 1998 as Gaming Executive of the Year, by Chief Executive Magazine in 2002 as one of the nation's top 100 chief executive officers, as a recipient in 2003 of a Lifetime Achievement Award at the American Gaming Summit, as a member in 2003 of the American Gaming Association Hall of Fame, and as a recipient in 2005 of a Lifetime Achievement Award from the East Coast Gaming Congress. I have a feeling that there are more awards coming in the future for you. Since his retirement from Harrah's, Mr. Satre has remained active in both the for-profit and nonprofit sectors. He serves among many other capacities as chairman of the Board of International Game Technology. He informed me earlier that he is a recent member of the Stanford University Board of Trustees, having been reached the end of his term. And he also serves as the director of the National Center for Responsible Gaming, for whom he previously served as chairman. So I'm very pleased to present on behalf of the City Club of Cleveland, Mr. Philip Satre.
Thank you, Paul, for that kind introduction, and it's a pleasure and an honor to be here today at an institution that has such a rich and vibrant history of entertaining speakers and the whole art of providing a forum for free speech. Before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge a former colleague of mine, also former U.S. Congressman for Ohio, Dennis Eckert, who helped organize today's event, and I think few people understand the gaming industry and the issue of responsible gaming as well as Dennis does. In addition to his work on behalf of the National Center for Responsible Gaming, Dennis previously represented the American Gaming Association, and he was also very active in efforts to bring casino gaming to Cleveland, I believe. So thank you, Dennis, for making this event possible. Last November, Ohio's voters made the historic decision to embrace casino gaming. And I'm sure that's a decision that has both people in this room feeling positive or negative or concerned. So it promises, I think no matter what, to reshape the economic and cultural landscape of the state for years to come. Naturally, the introduction of commercial gambling brings with it a host of questions. Questions asked by all new gaming jurisdictions, and my career, as Paul indicated, spans really the introduction of gaming into 13 states now. Nevada legalized gambling before I was born, so when I got there, it had been there for quite some time. But the questions really relate to how new gaming jurisdictions prepare to integrate casinos into their communities. And chief among those questions are those related to the possible health implications for casino employees, casino patrons, and the public at large. Many wonder if a casino will bring about a higher prevalence of gambling addiction to their communities, and if so, what steps a community can take to ensure that its citizens are well protected. Then there is the question of how a casino will impact the social fabric of a community. Do casinos bring with them increased rates of crime, bankruptcy, or divorce? And will casinos adversely affect the community's population of young people? Well, the National Center for Responsible Gaming can help you answer these and other pressing questions. Equally important, the NCRG can provide Ohio's leaders with tools and with resources to both minimize the potential harms, and there will be potential harms, and maximize the benefits, and there will be benefits that accompany casino gaming. Though Paul already told you a little bit about the NCRG, I'd like to take a few minutes to explain exactly what the organization does and exactly why it exists. The NCRG is the affiliated charity of the American Gaming Association and the largest private source of research funding on gambling disorders in the United States. It seeks to increase the understanding of pathological gambling, to find effective methods of treatment for the disorder, and to promote responsible gambling. Pathological gambling has only been recognized as a psychiatric disorder since 1980. Therefore, the field of gambling research is, by comparison, in its infancy. Even now, there is still much to learn. Understanding why some men and women are prone to the disorder, and while most are not, is essential to developing an effective prevention, diagnostic, and treatment strategy. When it was established in 1996, the NCRG provided the first significant infusion of money for research on gambling disorders and set high standards for the studies that it funded. The result has been groundbreaking research on the nature and the prevalence of gambling disorders. The NCRG's funding structure relies on entrusting all of the NCRG's grant-making responsibilities to a separate and independent body, the Institute for Research on Gambling Disorders. The Institute is charged with managing a number of different research programs. First, it supports 2 NCRG centers of excellence on gambling research. One is at the University of Minnesota, and one is at Yale University. And during more than a decade of funding research on gambling disorders, the NCR and the Institute have observed that substantial multi-year research grants are the most effective vehicles for producing research, in particular seminal research, on gambling disorders. Both centers of excellence are conducting long-term integrated research projects and education programs about gambling disorders that we believe are sure to yield increasingly important results. The Institute also manages a robust and competitive research grants program. It offers support for investigators from various disciplines and at all career levels, especially those that are new to the field, and many people in this particular field are new to it. We do that through a scientific advisory board of 10 leading experts from universities across the U.S. and Canada, who monitor and evaluate the grants program and the peer review process. In addition to funding high-quality independent studies on gambling disorders, the NCRG translates research into practical applications for real-world use.